everybody. This is Nubia.
And I'm Francis.
And we have a special Where Is She Now episode with Miss Kenna Williams. Kenna was with us back in season 2, episode 97. And we talked about basically Kenna being the Pusha Kee of travel.
Pusha Kee.
She does the epic Dubai blackout trips to Dubai every year, where literally 500 plus people of color come out and enjoy her trips. Well, so much has happened over the last year, and we got Kenna back to fill us in on what's going on. Hey, Kenna.
What up, Kenna?
Hey, you guys. How you guys doing today?
Oh, excellent, girl. Excellent. Can't complain at all. The new year has started off, right? What about for you?
Everything is going well, traveling as usual. So it's been a good year so far.
Nice. So traveling as usual. What's going on with your travels now? Where are you based?
Well, I am now based in South Africa. The last time I talked to you, I think I was in California last time I talked to you all.
Yeah.
But I am now living in South Africa. I'm not in South Africa right now, but I am now based there.
Now, how did that change come about?
Because, when we last spoke to you, you were, maybe one day kind of thing. You still just kind of like jet setting and all that stuff, but you still work full time. You had a whole life in California. So fill us in.
Well, so much has changed since that time. I think the last time I talked to you all, I want to say it was probably like February or March of last year, if I'm not mistaken. So currently at this moment, I left my job last year, put in my resignation, put my house up for rent, got rid of all of my stuff, got rid of my cars, and I moved to South Africa in November. So back in April 2019, I applied for a visa. It was granted a month later. And so at that moment, I said, okay, this is where I'm going. Let me get my stuff together. And here I am at this point.
So now let's talk about that, because you are an engineer and you work in aerospace, and that's a pretty prominent field, right? And with everything, of course, that's going on, aerospace and defense is where it's at. So, it's a big business. It is.
Like,
it's a big business, right? Especially being an engineer. So how can you walk us through that process of how you felt turning in that resignation, or just the thought process behind that? Because I think a lot of people are at work and they think about that day that they turn in their 2-week notice, or the day they just say, fuck this, I'm out of here.
Yeah. Why did you do that? Because I remember having that conversation with you, and the last time that we interviewed you was that you were going to wait a little bit longer, to be vested and all that other stuff. So like what was the light
thought
switch?
process? Yeah. What was that?
Well, originally my goal was to actually leave the job this month on January 20th. I was going to be 2020, saying one of me in 2020, but I was like, no. One of my friends told me, she said, you are not going to make it to 2020. You will leave before you hit 2020. And I was like, oh, girl, whatever. I'll be here. No. So I actually submitted a 3-week resignation and I left. September 30th was my last day. I knew I was going to leave. It just got to the point where I was at work and I was like, this is ridiculous. Why am I coming here? Not that the job itself was ridiculous. I had a great job at the company that I worked for. I had worked there almost 19 years, giving these people my whole life. And it was just time for me to do something different. But a turning point for me happened in 2018. I don't know if I told you guys this the last time, but in 2018, I had my performance evaluation at work, basically 2 weeks after my mother had passed away and then my friend had passed away. At my performance evaluation, my supervisor at the time told me, she says, you're doing everything you need to do per your performance evaluation. However, I think you need to pursue your real passions in life. And if you decide to leave this job, we will understand. And I looked at her like, what the what? What? So for me, I felt at the time that was the wrong thing to say. However, it was the right thing to say because it was exactly what I needed to hear to push me to the point that I am now. Although it hurt at the time knowing that, I'm dealing with 2 back-to-back debts and you're telling me to leave my job. And I'm looking at you like, what the fuck is wrong with you? You're really upset at that time. So That helped a lot. And also, it got to the point where, I mean, if I'm truthful about it, I got to the point where I was going to work, and my office was on the second floor, and there was a little window there. So when I would get to the second floor, I would look in the window. If I saw somebody in the hallway, I would step to the side and wait until they left the hallway before I would go to my office, because I didn't want to deal with people. I didn't want to see people. I just wanted to get in and get out. See no one. Great. It's time to go. When I got to that level, and when I joke about this on my Facebook page, I started wearing my moo-moos to work. That's when I knew it was time to go. It was time to go.
I can dig it. And it's crazy because when we think about our jobs, right? And what they said to you, it was monumental because it was what you needed to hear to give you that kickstart to say, you know what, it is going to be okay because I'm out of here, you know? But sometimes when we're in the midst of shit, it's like, what is going on? Like when I got laid off, I was furious. It took me about 3 days to figure it out, to be like, Nubia, this is actually a blessing because you've been complaining. You know, the universe will give you what you need at the time that you need it. And there was a long period of time when you were going through a lot with, you know, personal stuff. So I'm sure hearing that at your evaluation, you were just like, how would you say that to somebody who's just going through these situations? But in hindsight, you're like, you know what? That was confirmation.
Exactly. I agree.
Yeah, I think people need to really understand that nothing is permanent. Like your job is not a permanent situation unless you own that sucker. You know what I mean? And even that's not permanent because you know businesses go under all the time. But like you know what happens when you get that axe or that whole change in your employment? Like what do? You have to be
Yeah.
kind of conscious about that. Like that's not permanent situation.
I don't
And
think any of our
that's a,
situations are permanent, right? It's what we create it to be. Because when people go, oh, I can't move all the way to whatever, and it's like, it doesn't have to be permanent. Nothing you do has to be permanent, right? You
right.
can,
Right. And I agree. And Francis, you brought up a really good point there because I forgot, now that you just mentioned this, you just reminded me of something. When I was doing that performance evaluation, like I said, my mother passed away April 7th. My friend passed away April 9th. I was doing this evaluation. I think it was like April 30th, somewhere around that time frame. And I asked for 2 months off work because I'm thinking, you know, I need time off work. My mother had just passed away. Do you want me to sit there at work crying every day? And my coworker that passed away, we were friends. We were also travel buddies. We sat right next to each other. And my boss told me, she says, if you can take off 2 weeks, I'm sorry, if you can take 2 months off work, you know that you're replaceable. That right there
Oh,
was the
whoa!
sign.
Are you
I was like,
serious?
yeah. So at that point, I was like, why am I here?
they said
Why am I
that?
here? Yes. Yes.
Jesus.
That's the
Yes.
work
That's,
culture
Yes.
we really live in
Hmm.
more often than not.
it's so insensitive, number one. And it's funny because, okay, I say fillers, and one of my fillers is,
God, you know, I let
it's
it go.
funny, it's funny.
The funny thing about it, it's not funny. It's not. But go ahead.
Francis and I was in a coffee shop last week, and this brother from Australia walks up to us and just, you know, started a conversation. And he was telling us he's from Australia. And he was like, he works in corporate and this and the other, and he's on a career break. And we were like, oh, cool, a career break, right? He's like, yeah, I took 3 months and I'm traveling, and this is my first month, and I'm in Mexico, and then I'm going here and there and other. And we were like, do you know in America it's very difficult to even get 2 weeks? He was like, yeah, I heard you guys have it bad. And I was like, little do you know. And I was like, you know, mothers could barely get maternity leave. People could barely get 10 days off or 2 weeks off, where in other countries they give people breaks like a career break, or a break if someone passes away, or when you have, you know, kids, or just in general, Germany gives you a month off every single
most
year.
places you get at least 30 days.
At least 30 days, like mandatory. And so, you know, the mental health in America is going downhill because of people like your boss, you know, who say crazy shit like that and literally don't understand the concept of needing time from, you know, the everyday hustle, and to really work on your own
It's so upsetting
mental health.
that your boss said that. It's so disheartening.
But no, you know what? At the time, I will say this: I was really upset because I was like, "Are you kidding me?" And I actually left, switched to a different office because I deemed that particular office a hostile environment. At that time, I was like, I can't work in here because if that's the mentality that you think, what if something happens to another family member? Are you going to just be like fired? I'm like, I don't want to work here. So I left that office. But, like I said, in hindsight, sometimes you need someone to tell you ugly stuff at the lowest point of your life so you can say, yeah, this hurts. This is not what I was expecting to hear. However, let me use this negativity and turn it into something positive for myself. So that's what I did. It took me a while to do it because, I was hot and angry for a time, long time. But once you get over that, you're good.
Yeah, but you also have a support and network, right? That,
Yes.
there's a difference. Not everybody has that. So not everybody can handle situations like that, which is creating, like you said, the hostile work environment. It's a hostile
Hmm.
environment, period, where people can take something like that and not turn it into good because they don't have the capability to really process
Hmm.
it, right?
Right. You're right.
So you were fortunate enough to, it just propelled you to do what you needed to do for you, which was going to happen
Hmm.
anyway. It just happened sooner.
Right.
It's usually the
Very
case.
true.
So why
Mm.
South Africa? How did you make that decision? Anywhere in the world, why South Africa?
Well, lots of story behind that. I think the last time I talked to you guys, was I think I was engaged at the time.
You
So
were dating. You didn't tell us you were engaged. We found out a few
Girl,
wait,
weeks later. We were like, oh.
wait.
social
Oops,
media girl.
oops.
Give us the tea.
Well,
And Keena's a good
sorry.
storyteller, y'all. If y'all don't know,
Look,
check her Facebook out.
She is.
look.
Let's hear it.
Sorry about that. No, I was engaged to a guy at the time, and we split. Probably I don't know how long after that interview, but we ended up splitting. But he lived in South Africa. I'd met him back in 2018. He lived in South Africa. We had talked about, when we got to the point where I was like, oh, I could tell he wanted to ask me to marry him. I said, well, we have an option. We can live here in the States or we can live in South Africa. And for him, it would be too much starting over. And a man of his age did not want to start over. You come to America, you start all over, your credentials may not transfer over. And he decided, I don't want this life. I'm doing well here in South Africa. Let me stay where I am. He was a consultant, doing very well for one of the biggest banks in South Africa. He didn't want to leave. And I'm thinking, well, I had already planned to leave my job anyway. This is great. I'll go there. So that was already the plan that I was on. When we split, I decided, I think I'm still going. Let me just go anyway. So I ended up applying for a visa there and left and went. And it's been great so far.
Nice. I'm glad you didn't allow things to deter you. Don't allow things to deter you, and I think that's going to be one of the great takeaways from this particular episode, is because a lot of times you hear people saying, "Oh, I want to do this, but I can't because of this," and it's like, no, you can still
Hmm.
stay on your trajectory or on your
Hmm.
path, whatever that path may be. It just might not look the way you anticipated it to look initially, but doesn't mean that
Right.
you can't continue on that path.
Yeah.
Yeah, very true. Because a lot of people will probably say, oh, well, you were going to be, going there for a relationship or whatever. And it didn't pan out, where some people would probably just decide, well, the relationship didn't pan out. Let me just stay here in America. And I'm like, you know what? Let me use this opportunity to just go ahead and do this anyway, try it and see what happens. If I fail, hey, I tried.
What's failure
So
though? I
mistake was,
mean, you
Yeah.
going
yeah,
is success by
it,
itself. You
it,
know
Pretty
what
it
I
much.
is.
mean?
It is.
Yeah. And
It
I
is.
believe there's always opportunities in the struggle, if that's our lens. And sometimes it takes a little while to kind of get to that framework, but there is opportunities in that struggle. I always use the example like when I decided to buy a one-way ticket to Thailand in 2016. May not have been the best time. My father passed away. My son was going off to college. I was feeling all sorts of ways. I was letting go of an ex relationship, so probably not the best time, but
Mhm.
sometimes you just have to do those types of things because that's when a
Exactly.
lot of the growth happens.
Well, I was gonna say maybe that was the best time.
Yeah. But I'm saying
Yeah.
some people
Yeah.
may say, like,
Yeah.
that's not the best time. And
When
You can
is
down.
the best
There
fucking
is
time?
never the best. Like that
Never,
does not
never,
exist.
never,
I don't know. Even when you think it's the best time, you're
never.
like, when you look back, you're like, damn, why did I do that? You know. So it's like there's
Yeah,
no such thing.
So you
yeah.
have propelled your personal life, picked it up, and went to South Africa. What's going on with your professional life? Are you trying to transfer to be an engineer in South Africa, or are you going full time?
Book that ish.
Or are you going full time on that travel game?
We already know that.
You know what? Yes, I'm, engineer by degree. However, um, I still like, engineering, still like science and technology, things of that nature. At this point, I would say professionally, I am full time working for myself for my travel planning, travel consulting business. Although I'm giving myself a lot of free time to just do nothing. I've looked at the last 19 years and said, I've done all of this stuff for other people. So at this point, I just use my time to either, do my planning stuff, my consulting stuff, and I want to learn some new skills. I was thinking about taking some classes, learning a new language. So all the things that I said I never had time to do, these are the things that, I'm trying to do at this point. Thought about learning how to code, and I may never even do this. It's just something to just be a versatile, dynamic person where you can have a lot of different skills. Even if I never use them, I can say, well, you know what? I'm 43 years old and I went back to school and I learned something. Whereas I not, it's just something new. So I just want to learn some new tricks of the trade. Even if I never use them, I can say I learned them. I've looked up, taken Spanish classes. I just hired a trainer because someone's a little plump these days. So hired a
Wait, were
trainer.
those
So
cute ass trainers you put up? She was posting some nice little chocolate trainers. I said, go ahead, Keita.
What you training, girl?
That's
hey,
motivation right there.
so basically, professionally focus on the business. But I think this move, I'll say this, is probably more personal than professional.
Yeah.
I've basically, I tell people I've like seriously downsized my life. When I left my house, um, I always laugh. I had a three, I still have it. It's just up for rent. I have a three-story, uh, three, what, a three-story, three bath, two and a half. I'm sorry, I can barely say this. A three-story, three-bedroom, two and a half bath condo is what I had in California. And the time that I lived in my house, do you know where I spent all my time? In my room.
In the
In my room.
room,
I
I was gonna
never
say the
in
kitchen
my
because
room.
Because
Yeah,
she
I don't
likes to
cook.
eat.
So so I spent all my time in my room and I was always traveling. So I looked at that and I said, you know what? I don't need this space. Here I'm in this house. There's no one in here but me. Um, that's one thing. It was easy for me to, leave the house. So my little apartment in South Africa, I joke about it. It's not even 500 square feet, but that's okay
but it's
because it's
super
just me.
cute.
It
It
is.
works for me. It
Yeah.
works for me. And, I have enough space for what I need to do. And the reality is I'm never there. I mean, I'm in Tennessee right now. I'll be in Chicago tonight, then I'll be in Columbia tomorrow. So I'm constantly going places. So, like I said, this is probably more of a personal, personal level than it is professional to basically downsize, minimize clutter, become a minimalist, and just let go of things, which I'm assuming you guys went through this as well when you did your move, is to get rid of things. And I gave myself time to get rid of things. So I didn't try to do everything all in like, 2, 3 weeks. I just said, you know what? Let me see if I can throw these old cards away because I was a hoarder. My garage was a hot mess. I had to hire an organizer to come help me break down everything out there. And she was good.
Yeah.
Very,
I
very
think the
good.
letting go is difficult though. You left the house and went straight to South Africa. I had a house, same size, three, actually a little bit larger because I have kids, right? So when I left the house, I went into a 1 bedroom first. So I had already downsized. And then from there, I downsized again. So it was almost like a process for me. Had I gone straight from the house into a suitcase, I don't know how I would have, because it was difficult. I cried a couple of
I
times,
did.
and it wasn't because I was attached to the things. These were memories, it was nostalgic. I was in that house for almost 8 years. I raised my kids in that house and stuff like that. So it was like, I'm leaving. But a part of me felt fresh once all of it was gone, because I was able to, what I call, buy adult stuff. Because all of the stuff I had before was a mummy stuff, right? Like things, I couldn't have a glass, table in the dining room or something like that. You know what I mean? So when I got my own 1-bedroom apartment, I was like, oh, I finally got an adult space. And then I filled it up with all this adult shit. And then only a year later, I had to get rid of all that.
And now she's got a big ass suitcase
That I carry with me.
I'm like, girl, did we not learn a damn thing? What is going on?
I know you
On
ain't
your
talking
travel
as your
journey.
suitcase is busting.
What with a bunch of souvenirs, Lord? She has a big suitcase and stuff in different continents.
I do have shit all over the world on different continents. I'll leave like a small suitcase or bag behind at someone's house or something. Be like, I'll be back. I still got 2 suitcases in Thailand sitting there. But I spent 2 years, so you accumulate stuff,
Right.
So, and that might end up happening. Look, Keena's in Tennessee right now, and her shit is in South Africa. It happens. That's the travel life for you. It's like, sometimes you sit still, sometimes we still move about and can't take everything with us everywhere.
Yeah.
Very true.
I was already kind of a minimalist, so I didn't have a lot of stuff, but I think part of it was just kind of like all the stuff that you've built over the years. And then you turn around and you're just like, none of it even really matters.
Yeah.
I think that was my aha moment when I was making my transition. I was like, I don't need
Why
any
do
of
I
this
have
stuff.
this shit?
Yeah. And I felt so much better afterwards.
Did you put stuff like away, like you paying for storage and stuff?
I only have one box. I only have one box, and it's sitting at a friend's house. And I told her that I'm just going to have it shipped to my brother's house and leave it there. Other than that, nothing. I basically like got rid of everything. I put a lot of stuff on like Facebook, Marketplace, and when it got down to the wire, I just posted a picture, posted my address, and said it's in the back. Pick it up, and whatever's not there, I'm calling the dumpster. That's it. I just, you just get to the point where you can't keep anything. You just let it go. And I was, I sold stuff for cheap because it was cheaper for me to have someone pay me for stuff than it was for me to hire somebody to come take all the stuff out of my house. I mean, my dining room set, I think I sold for $75. Yeah, I just let it go. One of my cars, I called a relative and I was like, you want this car? Put it on a truck, sent the car. My other car I sold it for like nothing. Well, I mean, a few bucks, but just nothing because I needed to let stuff go.
Yeah.
Just let it go.
Yeah, and you like to live in California is, a whole nother situation because, what's that article that says to live in the Bay Area as an individual with no kids, you have to make at least $210,000 a year just to have a 1-bedroom apartment or afford a 1-bedroom apartment in the Bay Area. So for you to have a whole home, 2 cars, and this and the other, you were very privileged and fortunate. And I think this year in 2020,
she's like, wait, let me interrupt you because you don't know my life.
Bay. I wasn't in the Bay though.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, California just seems to be an expensive state, number one. I mean, when you look at it, compared to a lot of places around the world, it's one of the most expensive states in America to live in.
It is.
And I think that people don't understand sometimes how 1 month's rent in a state in the States could be 3 months' rent in another country. And I think people's misconceptions are like, if you're moving to Africa, you live in the bush. Keita's apartment's cute as shit. Stainless steel, kitchen appliances and stuff. And then on top of that, a lot of Africa is metropolitan, depending on where you are. So just dispelling those myths. And, when you share your story, you help open other people's eyes to what it looks like. You know, when we shared that house thing that we did in Thailand, people were like, "Oh my gosh, I didn't know." And I'm like, "Where did you think we lived? In a hut?" And we went to the
Yeah.
bathroom in the backyard. Like, what's going on? Like, you know.
If you're on a long bus ride in Thailand, I mean, that is possible to go to the bathroom in somebody's backyard.
Okay. But, you know, living, I think that in America, the misconception
Yeah, I know.
is that you're living below your means if you're in another country.
The brainwash is
Yeah.
real, man.
It is, and that's a very true point. I would say that, talking about living and things like that, I was telling some relatives of mine, I was like, the place where I live, they have a champagne bar in the building. And I'm like, I try to stay away from that place, but I mean, it's there if I want it. People don't realize there's so many different misconceptions out there of what they think a particular place may look like. Now, I'm not going to say that they don't have, poverty or whatever, but not everywhere is, especially when it comes to Africa. I tell people not everywhere has the children with the flies in their face and the dogs that look like they haven't had a meal in months and things like that. It's just that these are misconceptions that the media has put out for us to believe that places don't have, some of the same luxuries. I would dare to say that my life is probably better in South Africa than it is in the States. Although I'm a little chunkier, food prices tend to be a little less money. I can afford a trainer. The trainer comes to my house. I could never afford a trainer to come to my house the way that they are in that particular location. It's just that things that, even maid services relatively, I haven't done it yet, but the people above me tell me it's pretty cheap. I'm thinking, oh, that's it. Okay. I think I can afford that. People upstairs tell me it's cheap. I said, okay. But these are things that, people don't look at, like you said, you could be paying, I don't know, $3,000 for your mortgage somewhere where go somewhere else. And it's not even a third of that. So different.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where, like you said, maid service or whatever. When I tell you in 2019, we used the word privileged a lot because we had to literally step into that light to be like, we are privileged Black women to be able to, show that blue passport, utilize it, number one, the way that we do, and live literally in many places. In 2019, I lived on 3 continents. You get what I'm saying? Like, if I thought about this 5-6 years ago, I would have been like, oh, I could never, you know what I mean? It wasn't even a thought process, but it's just, so easy. And as you start getting accustomed to travel and wanting to be a part and learn, you're like, damn, I could have been doing this all
Years
along.
ago.
Yeah, taking advantage of the opportunities and amenities that abroad, provides you is huge. And people, I always say, like the whole mental, like self-care, especially like spa services and all that stuff. Like I could never back then. We did a 4-hour massage spa thing package in Guatemala. Something like that would cost like at least $500, $600, $700 in the States, and we did it for like $100. So it's like, so the ability to be able to really take care of yourself. And I love the fact that you said, I'm not trying to do much. I'm really not trying to do much, because a lot of us, that is our stories back in the States. We're workaholics, we're worker bees. We don't have time for ourselves, our families, friends, relationships, and all these constraints. You come abroad and there's a space that opens up. There's this expansion, and take advantage of that. Don't do a gosh darn thing.
Yeah, I think many people don't know how to relax or not do something because they feel like if they're not doing something, they're not being productive.
Right.
But the truth of the matter is, being still is being productive because you're allowing your body to replenish, rejuvenate, and revive itself so that you can move on and move forward. So you used to do this hashtag that was the year of Yes Manifest. What was that, 2018, 2019?
That may have been earlier. That may have been maybe 15 or 16, maybe.
What's your
Early,
hashtag for 2020?
Oh, Now I have to come up with one since you
You know
said
what I'm
it.
saying? You always got one. I'm surprised you are not on top of that one because you have the hashtag,
You know what?
book that
I
ish.
just, look, you just told me I don't have to worry about things and do things. So I haven't come up with one. I'm not working yet.
That's
So,
right. There you go. Love that response.
so I'll
Hashtag
come up
nothing.
with hashtag whenever I feel like doing something. That's it.
Right.
I love it.
So I'll come up with something for 2020. But 2020, like I said, for me this year is really about me, focusing, doing all the things that I've wanted to do, whether it's to learn a new language or a new skill, have more time for family. That's another thing, I've tried to do is, spend more time with my family. Here I was in Mississippi this past weekend and went some places I have not been since I was probably 7 years old. Back four-wheeling in the woods with my uncle, just, things of that. Just basically probably strengthening relationships with people is probably a good focus for me for this year. And again, just making sure that I take care of me, mentally, emotionally, physically, in all manners. And definitely with this gym, because I'm scared when I go home. I here in Memphis, Tennessee, my aunt called me yesterday, said, "Hey, come over for dinner." And I was like, "Oh my goodness." So yeah,
Well, girl,
I'm
South
going to be
Africa
killed.
got bomb food too, so.
They do. And it's so reasonable. I
And,
joke about Uber
and the
there.
wine is
It's,
inexpensive. Pinotage.
yeah,
Girl, I can
yeah,
have a bottle of wine with every meal and it still be under 20 bucks.
yes. Well, the one I like is like $4 a bottle. It's so good.
Well, I'm talking about the whole entire meal. I'm talking about
Yes,
appetizer, entree,
yes,
dessert, and a bottle of wine.
yes. True,
She's like,
very
where's
true.
that place at?
No, seriously, South Africa, the food is
Everywhere. Yes,
great.
it is. It really is. Really is.
So, what's one project that you're working on for this year in relation to your business?
Business right now, I'm actually trying to grow the business. I got out of being hard headed and ended up hiring a operations manager back in September. I'm such a sucker at times where I had to let go of certain things. So I let go and I hired an operations manager. And again, I don't know why I didn't pick her up years ago because it has made my life so much more. I have more time to do other things. And later this year, I'm probably going to hire another person. I'm just trying to figure out what that looks like. So what that looks like. And then I don't know yet. So that's probably a big thing is let it go in business because you guys know being in business, my hand is like this. And
Girl,
so I've been
Delegate,
like
delegate.
this.
you
Look,
got to learn how to delegate. Yeah. In your personal and in your professional life, if you
yeah,
can. You get what I'm saying? I think sometimes as women, we want to control a lot of the things that we got our hands in. And that's understandable, right? Because, we want to. I don't know what's that saying. If I'm not doing it, it doesn't get done right or whatever.
yeah,
We have
yeah.
that misconception all the time. But when you get to a certain place, you have to sit back and let it go and delegate. That's the most important.
Yeah, you gotta look at opportunity cost. Like some
Mhm,
things just take up too much of your time, and you could be just
mhm.
using that time for something a little
Something
bit
else.
more valuable that's gonna move the needle.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. So that's one thing I was really, glad I was able to, hire operations manager, and then I will probably hire another person. So that's probably the biggest thing professionally, and then also trying to grow my itinerary. So we'll see how that goes.
Okay. So what about the personal life? I mean,
Are we jumping back in the dating
are
game?
we back on Tinder, swiping left and right? Are we, what are we doing now these days, Miss Keena?
Huh? Actually, I am talking to someone. I've been talking to someone for what, 5 months now.
Girl, you
So we'll see how it
stay
goes.
lit. You
Jesus.
better give
But
us
can I
I
get
mean,
some
can we
pointers?
tell us what we
It's like
need
the
to do?
Sahara
Desert
Desert up in
around this
this.
piece.
This.
We watched a movie. What was we? We was watching something yesterday, and it was a love scene. I said, I think that's the most action I've seen in like a year. Like, come on, what is going on? Can you share some
Well,
tips and tricks?
Keena's dating
well,
lessons.
Well, the thing for me, I think most of the thing is, well, since I'm international, I was using dating sites, the infamous Tinder, but I had my Tinder set in different countries. So I could, although I was at the time I was sitting in California, I may have it set in England, I may have it set in Kenya, maybe set in South Africa, wherever. So cross paths with someone back in August, and we met in September, and we'll see what happens here. Still rocking. Yeah.
Yes.
We'll see
I
what
love
happens.
it. So that means we have to set our locations in different places, do some mapping.
Yeah.
Set it in different places, and go from there. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we're still, young in this, if you will. So curious to
Girl,
see
where
where
my
it
phone
goes.
at? I need to start swiping and
Girl, you've been
freaking.
swiping enough. Your wrist is hurting.
I knows you ain't. We are not gonna go there.
Carpal tunnel and shit. Talking about swipe, 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 swipe. Listen,
I ain't gonna
sitting
go
right.
there.
I'm sitting next to you on that couch. I see what's going on.
Oh
No,
my God.
dating has literally been an issue since moving abroad. And I don't know if it's, because we both date women, so it's not as prevalent in certain countries than others, you know what I mean? So that could be a situation. And then number two is, I've been moving around so much in 2019. I feel like I don't have the opportunity to meet someone. By the time we even get engaged in conversation, I'm already in another goddamn country. So it's like,
Yeah.
I don't know. 2020
Well,
is my year. Okay.
that shouldn't stop you. Just keep swiping, and you just never know. Like the person I'm talking to, they're in Amsterdam. So they're in Amsterdam. At the time I was sitting in Panama when they swiped on me. I swiped on them. I was in Panama at that time, but all over the place. So you never know. And then you may meet someone organically as well, just walking up to you. And me being in South Africa, although I'm not looking, the people there, they will approach you. Was at the grocery store one day, and this man, I noticed him looking at me, and next thing I know, he was right behind me. I was like, dude, can I help you? I said, are you security? Because you're so close to me. I'm wondering if you think I'm stealing. What's up? And he was like, no, I just a regular guy. I just want to say hi. And I was like, well, just say hi. Don't walk up on me like this, So you never know. You may meet someone organically, or, back on these dating apps, whether it is Hinge, Bumble, Tinder, Facebook dating, whatever.
Hinge? I never heard of that one.
Hinge?
Yeah, Hinge.
Sounds
Yeah.
scary. You're unhinged. You know what I mean? Sounds like a suspense thriller.
I don't know if the apps is what is making dating more difficult. When you say meet someone organically, in the States, many people don't know how to speak to people anymore because their heads are in their phones.
That could be the case too, because I have to say this again. Again, I'm not dating anyone in South Africa. I should say that I'm not dating anybody in South Africa, but people there, people will come up to you. They will come up to you. They will speak to you, whatever. I think for you, you could probably find someone there. You never know.
I was like, what's the
One-way
ticket?
ticket?
What's the ticket prices?
Never know.
South Africa.
Never know.
No.
You never
I will
know.
be in Africa for 2021 for sure. That is going to be home base for at least the year of 2021. And when I say something, I definitely put it into fruition. So hopefully you're still there, because I'll definitely swing by and be like, hey, girl, hey, neighbor.
Yes. Please do. Please do. We can have some pinotage at my place.
That's what I'm talking about. Get it. Well, Kenna, thank you so much for taking the time out to talk to us and let us know what's going on with you. Very proud of you. And just
Thank you, lady.
continue telling your stories. You're hilarious, by the way. You need to have
Thank you.
Your own little
reality show.
Reality TV. Just no. She's like, nah.
Nah.
No, the life of Kenna, no.
It would be boring.
Girl, bye. Your
We have so
Facebook
many
is lit.
stories. So many stories of stuff happening.
Your Facebook is lit. I think that would be okay. So for our listeners, if you know Kenna, if you watch her on Facebook and you think she should have a sitcom or reality show called The Life of Kenna, make sure to comment. We're going to push this. But thank you for taking the time out. We truly appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you,
And
ladies.
wish you lots of success in your unfolding and your growth and all of that good stuff.
Thank you, ladies. Hopefully, we will see you guys again for another update. This has been great. I enjoyed doing this.
Awesome.
Thank you.